Alright, I am back with another video, and today it's patch day. Patch 6 has just dropped as of about 20 minutes ago, so I'm going to take a brief look at the patch notes like I always do, and kind of just go over the changes that seem significant to me. I have not read these patch notes yet. I'm literally recording this basically as I saw the announcement tweet that they're out, so I might miss some things, but this is the whole point of these kind of videos, is it's just a quick look discussing how it may affect things like such as my own videos or the general, gameplay of Baldur's Gate 3, and I will also encourage that you use the comment section to discuss things that I did miss, discuss changes that have been made, and just leave it as an overall creative space that we can kind of use as just to discuss things. I mean, again, I'm one man, I'm gonna miss things, but anyways, let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into it. So the main thing is that they're kind of advertising here is obviously the improvements to the romance stuff, which, as lovely as this is, not for me. I've never really cared about all this sort of stuff, but if that is what you like, up to you. And they've got a whole bunch of new kind of idle camp animations. For example, we can see here Halsin is sharpening a stick, so this is quite cool. I mean, this is just going to add a lot more flavour to the campsite, going to make the characters feel a bit more real. Very nice. And here's the big one. Improvement and fixes galore. This is more my cup of tea. Patch 6 isn't all ambience and canoodling, however. We fixed a deluge of player-reported issues. Shield Bash fans, rejoice! They fixed Shield Bash, everybody, so every single build of mine where you see we use shields, they are now infinitely more effective. They have also made several tweaks and improvements to the game. If you're playing in honor mode, expect a few extra surprises in the form of new legendary actions for bosses, and maybe a bit of extra trouble from a certain mound. Good luck with that one. Interesting. We've also made some improvements to speaker selection. When dialogue triggers automatically, the game will now try to prioritize your avatar as the main speaker, so your party members should now have less main character syndrome when clearly you're the star of the show. This always bugged me that this would keep happening, so I'm glad that they have fixed this. We will continue to work on future improvements, blah 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 blah. Okay. So I'm going to read the highlights now. Obviously, spoilers. Bear in mind that some of these entries below may contain spoilers, so read on your own risk. If you do not want spoilers, click off the video now. However, let's get into it. You can now dismiss a recruiter companion from your party while speaking to the companion you want to replace them with. That is an extremely good quality of life feature. Well done, Larian. When a dialogue triggers automatically, the game will now try... Yeah, we've already said that. Your partner now has a few different kisses. Yep, they've gone over that. Improved the cinematic scenes in the Elf Song Tavern to feel more intimate. Yep. Again, romance stuff, I'm not that worried about. Reworked the reflection scenes to take place after wrapping up the defeat of the Neverbrain. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's mainly just, this is all just kind of the idle stuff. Here we go. If you started playing your game on a set difficulty, you can now switch to custom mode except when already playing on a mode. That's interesting. Fixed an issue that would prevent travel between acts. Interesting. Fixed an issue causing quick saves to fail to upload. Yep, that's fine. Characters in the epilogue camp party. Yep. Fixed a shield bash and Rebuke of the Mighty. Rebuke of the Mighty, I believe, is the Vicona's Walking Fortress version of the Shield Bash, which is the legendary shield in the game. Passive not triggering saving throws. Interesting. Added light bar colours for the DualSense controller on PS5. I play with a DualSense controller, so thank you, Larian. I appreciate that. If you romance lays out, yeah, that's story stuff. Fixed a graphics setting not being applied. Yeah, fixed a crash on Xbox. Yeah, that's all fine. Here is the gameplay stuff. This is where it gets important for basically this channel and for what we kind of do here. You can now toggle off Repelling Blast as expected. Didn't realise that was an issue, because I've never really toggled Repelling Blast off, I must admit. If you long rest with only alcohol as camp supplies, you will now get the new Hungover condition for 10 turns. So there's a new condition. That's actually kind of cool. Auto-selecting your camp supplies before a long rest will use resources more optimally. Sometimes you just don't feel like cooking. Fair enough. Long rest camp supply menu is now better at pulling supplies from inside containers in companion inventories. Stop holding the cheese wheel. I always love the little bits of humour they throw in. So basically there's just a bunch of like optimization improvements around the camp stuff as well, it would seem. Group hide now works on all party members controlled by the player, including followers and summons. Thank you. Oh my days. Made it possible to dismiss party members during camp nights. Also made it possible to recruit hirelings to a full party. They'll hang around at camp until you need them. There is just so much improvement here. The owlbear cub will no longer gobble up Auntie Ethel's hair before you can take advantage of the bonus it grants. Interesting. The Elixir of Hill Giant Strength now applies its effects when thrown. Wait, does that mean it has an AoE? Can it affect multiple people at once now? Oh shit. That's a build right there. Oh my days, that's interesting. Let me just make sure I'm still recording, because again, this is all very ad hoc. Yes, we're still good. Okay, perfect. Added the option to... Scratch can no longer equip certain weapons like the Everburn Blade. Again, I didn't even know this was a feature. Or a bug, even. As a quality of life improvement, the packed weapon condition now remains after a long rest. Yes, Larian! Thank you! That is so much better for us Warlock players, myself included. Okay, that's like a bit of a spoiler. Okay, these are all like legendary action things. Yeah. That's nothing for us to worry about. Flow and scripting. Increase the number of valid methods of knocking... here we go. This is really good. Increase the number of valid methods of knocking Minthara out to recruit her. So, for those of you who have seen my honor mode streams, we were really, really like iffy on like how to actually recruit her, and I'm pretty sure I messed it up. So I ended up installing the good recruitment mod just in case. But I think now it should be a lot less rigid. Awesome. Halson no longer blames the goblins for his death in the Speak with Dead dialogue if he managed to get killed much later on. Interesting. Yeah, this is all just kind of like different like story-based stuff. But the big one there is, you know, this one. The Minthara stuff. UI, not too worried about that. Writing, not too worried about that. Cinematic sound. Crashes and blockers. Okay, so this might be... I don't know any... Like, this is more crashes, like I said. Yeah, combat and balance. Here we go. This is where things are going to be more important for us. Like I said, if there's anything here that in these sections that I may have missed, please let me know. Right. Combat and balance across acts. The Cheater's Folly condition now correctly reduces all attributes equally. For those of you that don't know, the Cheater's Folly is the condition that you get during one of Shah's trials. I won't say too much for spoiler reasons, but basically if you attacked a certain enemy, you'd get a debuff, and that's what this is. So it's just been fixed. The Rallied buff, which gives 30 temporary hit points, will now be prioritized over the Tharchalite Vigor buff, which grants you 20. Yeah, that's fine. Fixed enemy NPCs being able to counterspell a character they are not in combat with. Interesting. In Honor mode, the additional attack granted by haste no longer grants extra attack to the Slayer form. A very interesting debuff, but I'm glad they kept that in Honor mode, and I think that's why I like Honor mode. A lot of like the really fun stuff that they could take out of the game because it's broken, they just do that for Honor mode, where the highest challenge is anyway. I think that's really, really good. I would like a custom mode option to be able to, like, maybe, like, turn off, for example, Warlock's extra attack stacking or something like that without necessarily having to play Honor mode. Stuff like that would be nice. But either way, I think it's pretty good. Fixed an issue in Honor mode where a character with the haste condition could sometimes lose their extra attacks on the next turn after executing an attack of opportunity. Interesting. Fixed Auntie Ethel's weird magic surge not triggering when attacking in the... Okay, so this is mainly Honor mode stuff. Fixed NPCs. The Myrmidon Wildshapes now use their own spellcasting modifier instead of your original modifier. That's interesting, because that could either be a nerf or a buff, depending on how you built your Wildshape character. And I believe the Myrmidons are exclusive to Moon Druid, so you're not going to be spellcasting very much, so that might be a buff if you kind of let your Wisdom take a bit of a dip. I don't know. The Grasping Vine spell has been updated to be more useful in combat. It has better stats and spawns vines in a radius when summoned. Okay, so a lot of people saying Grasping Vine was one of the worst spells in the game, and I was kind of inclined to agree. That sounds like a decent buff. I don't know how useful it will be over other summon spells, but having more vines and just have better stats in general is really good. The Tadpole Power Fractured Psyche's follow-up spell, Shatter Psyche, is now a bonus action if you have the Awakened feat. Okay, that's more of just a fix. Here we go. Mage Slayer and Portent now work while in Wildshape and other shapeshifted forms. Ooh, that's a build. Mage Slayer is very interesting because you could kind of be like an anti-mage tank, and Portent working with that, allowing you to be this like future-seeing bear. That's interesting. That might be a build of its own. Perhaps the upcoming Halcyon build could make use of those. Player characters in Mind Flayer form no longer gain an armor class buff from their form. Okay, that's fine. The Scroll of Bestial Communion and Sights of the Sealy now use level 6 spell slots as expected. Okay, I didn't realize that was an issue. Made Reposition Malefactor, the action granted by the Hellfire Engine crossbow, so that is the like grappling hook. Auto succeed on allies and make sure allies don't take damage from it. That is an insane amount of new utility that crossbow has. That is really, really interesting. That makes the builds where I've used that, such as the Nero build, which is one of my oldest ones, and I believe I also used it on the Karlach build, if I remember correctly. Either way, or the Storm Song, I think, also used it. Either way, very, very good. Quite happy with that change. Animated armor is now immune to the Ruptured condition, which causes the targets to bleed. As one might expect, animated armor shouldn't bleed. Yeah, so that's an enemy type. Mimics now have increased attack damage. Several NPC spells will no longer be able to target characters with the Sanctuary condition as intended. Okay, cool. So Sanctuary just got a massive buff, because there were some ways that NPCs get around it, now they can't. Jaheira can now use her Panther form while she is a party follower. She can also now use Lesser Restoration and Call Lightning, so just a bit of a buff to the Act 2 stuff. Counterspelling legendary actions that can be counterspelled now removes the legendary action condition. Okay. The Slayer's Relentless Lunge attack now breaks Sanctuary. Oh, so there was like a bug or an exploit with that. That's interesting. Yeah. Fixed hold person working on gnolls who are certainly not people. Hey. Gnolls can be people too. They're actually a playable race in tabletop. Right, this is act-specific stuff, so let's quickly have a look at this. Again, this seems mostly like honor mode fixes, yeah. Make sure the Mask of Vengeance Vengeful Strike passive is blocked while it's disarmed. Yeah, there's not too much, I think, specific to builds here. This is more just like specific encounters, so I'm not too worried about all of this. Again, you'll have to let me know if I've missed anything important that's based on like your actual player character. But I think this is mainly just encounter stuff. Here's some gameplay changes. Again, these could be important. Fixed NPCs not reacting to you knocking out other NPCs with one attack. Okay, interesting. Fixed bystander NPCs, fixed the item splitter not working, fixed character sheet keybind not working. You can now throw spider egg sacs just as conveniently as other items. Okay. If you send Companion Shadowheart to camp, she'll keep the artifact on her. If a custom character or a hireling has the artifact and is dismissed to Wither's Wardrobe, the artifact will transfer to another character. Okay, so it was kind of a way to accidentally kind of get rid of the artifact, but that's been fixed. The Flaming Sphere will now toggle off its fiery aura after combat. That's great, because that was one issue I kind of had when I was making the Monster Tamer build, or my Mirlaki's Guardian build, so I'm like, oh yeah, you can use Flaming Sphere as a summon. Is that if it's outside of combat, it's going to start damaging people around it. They've turned that off, which is awesome. Fixed an issue on split screen where if a player joined while an avatar was being dismissed, the game wouldn't always correctly assign the player to the avatar. That's fine. Fixed an inconsistency with thrown objects. I wish that was a bit more precise, because I've done a lot of throwing builds. People will have to test that and report back to me. Fixed the combat camera screen zooming in too far when the characters die in certain positions. Yeah, that was a weird one. Fixed a bug related to the permanency invisibility condition granted by Volo's Ursat's Eye. The condition will now remain after the character has had it, is killed, and then resurrected. Yeah, because you used to lose the condition, and that obviously was not intended, so I'm glad that's back. Fixed a bug that would fully block the interaction when one player character was in combat that was paused because of dialogue with an NPC, and another character joined the combat. Okay. Minfara now has the appropriate HP for the game's difficulty level. Nice. Invisible characters who have something to say in dialogue will now remember to actually show themselves. That's funny. Yeah, there's not too much. Oh, polymorphed characters will keep their names now. That's fun. Added the Wormslayer background goal. I'm guessing that's for defeating you-know-who. Let's see. Water pumps will now create puddles of water. When you can't... Oh, throwing NPCs into a chasm will no longer trigger their crime reaction dialogue while they're in mid-flight. Yeah, I had that problem when I was doing my multiplayer playthrough. When you cast Hold Person/Monster, Polymorph will dominate Person/Monster from a place where no NPC can see you. NPCs noticing the victim getting affected by your spell will start investigating. That's cool, actually. Okay. Fixed some throw actions consuming an action before you actually throw anything. Interesting. Fixed a bug where remapping the interact keybind will prevent you from moving objects. Fixed Wildshape sometimes getting dismissed when killing enemies that reflect damage. Interesting. Yeah, there's not too much here, I would say. I mean, I could sit here and basically just read all of the patch notes one by one, but I'm not seeing too much here that really makes a lot of sense. To really go over, because like all of this is just general fixes, like nothing that is like a straight buff or nerf to most of my builds. There have been some, but like there's not too much here. The Dark Urge will now be just as likely to say something aloud as non-dirgy characters. The lines have also been randomized to avoid repetition. So yeah, basically the Dark Urge had an issue where a lot of the times where Tav would speak, the Dark Urge would not. That's been fixed. Fixed the combat inspiration action, not upgrading its bonus to a D10. Interesting. So Valabard was bugged. I actually had no idea. Well, that means a buff for Valabard, I guess, technically. Stinking Cloud saving throws can now be made with advantage if the character has advantage against poison saving throws. Cool. Yeah, I mean, there's not... Fixed Transmutation Stones not being destroyed when their casters leave the party. That's a shame. So here is a pretty big nerf, because one of the things a lot of people did with hirelings was that they made a Transmutation Wizard hireling, had them make the Transmutation Stone, and then have them leave the camp and that way keep the stone. I honestly thought that was a feature, but apparently that's not the case. This means that I believe there is a build I made where we specifically got Constitution saving throw proficiency from a Transmuter Stone. That's obviously now no longer going to work unless you keep the spellcaster in your party, which is a huge shame. I kind of wish they didn't change that, actually. That doesn't feel like it was such a massive buff that it was, like, broken. It just gave us a little bit more flexibility with building and using hirelings to the best of their effectiveness. So honestly, I don't agree with that one, Larian. I must admit, I don't agree with that one. Edit the tutorial for how to remove dies. Okay. Scratch will no longer disappear if you summon him. Go to camp without resting and then leaving camp. Great. Adjusted the triggers. Yeah. Fix the bug with the banish spell on some characters will cause them to leave combat and exit turn-based mode. Counting down the conditions in real time. Let's see. Bandit's Blessing passive will no longer heal enemies. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't think there's... Oh, Warlock's bound packed weapons can no longer be disarmed. That's great. That's a little buff. Fix the Colossus Slayer passive not working with ranged weapon attacks in honor mode. Cool. Fix the Soulbreaker weapon action. Yeah. All paladin actions now work with the 3-cast Illithid power. Ooh, okay. 3-cast can now be used once per long rest as described. God damn it. Big me up to knock me down. Wait, hold on. Fixed a bug where the Polearm Master feat reaction would trigger and cause your target to attack when you and they're also wielding a polearm. Okay, that's not the Great Weapon Master bug fix. Damn it. Wolf Wildheart Barbarians now grant advantage to allies nearby for unarmed melee attacks. Oh, including unarmed spell attacks like Shocking Grasp. Oh, I'm seeing a Barbarian Monk duo build there. That seems fun. Characters with the Fey ancestry should no longer be put to sleep by magical sources. Apparently that was a thing. Wild Magic Barbarians will now be able to correctly restore level 1 spell slots to Paladins with bolstering magic. Cool. Oh, here we go. The Tavern Brawler feat now also applies the bonus damage to improvised weapon attacks. They buffed Tavern Brawler again. Every time I think I see Tavern Brawler, I think, oh no, they've nerfed it. No, they've buffed it, so now your improvised weapon attacks are going to be seriously powerful as well. Oh man, that's my multiplayer run build getting a massive buff that I will be sharing eventually. Disguise Self will no longer lock you out of class-specific or dirge-specific dialogue options. You're only disguising your race after all. That's really good. That makes playing a Disguise Self dirge for like flavor reasons much more impactful. I really like that. Fixed not fitting too much here. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be too much. I'm just very quickly... Fix the extra variant of Create Water showing up when upcasting the spell to level 2. Okay. Killing certain characters will no longer remove ownership. Yeah. I'm just... Oh, you can no longer use Twin Spell on Witch Bolt because twinning it causes it to break its own concentration. I never even knew that existed because I never take Witch Bolt because I always thought it was a bad spell. I didn't know it was break your own concentration bad. Obviously, that's a bug, but that's quite funny. The Ballist Armor's Aura of Murder passive no longer causes NPCs to avoid the wearer. Yeah, that was a weird bug. I'm glad they fixed that. Because I recommend that armor quite a lot. Yeah, this is all act-specific stuff, so there's nothing too crazy as far as build making goes here, I don't think. Multiplayer, there's just some tweaks there. Controller, there's just some tweaks there. I'll go over the controller changes, because I think, actually, people who play on controller, like myself sometimes when I'm doing live streams, it does make sense to kind of have a look at it. Reduce the delay between selecting turn-based mode on controller. Cool. Fix the cursor on controller moving back to the previous target position. Okay. The camera will no longer lock onto you while you're spellcasting on controller. Good. Fix an issue on controller where you're unable to cast. Yeah, so nothing too crazy. No major gameplay changes there. Yeah, and then I mean this is all just like story and the scripting and all that. None of this is crazy important to us. I'm just gonna double check if there's anything at the bottom, because sometimes they hide stuff at the bottom that is actually kind of relevant to gameplay. Epilogue, I won't be reading that. Journal, won't be reading that. Performance and options. This could be important because I know a lot of people are still having performance issues here, but they're not really something I'm going to read about. You guys can have a look at that yourself. Icons and portraits, character creation and level up. Here we go. Fixed avatar characters incorrectly getting assigned the Dream Guardian skin color in character creation on controller. Interesting. Fix the character creation buttons to open the panels for appearance colors, not updating with the newly chosen color. Okay. Fixed classes not all playing their class animation when selecting a secondary class in the multi-class UI. Okay. Added warnings to indicate that saving the game while you're in the process of updating your character won't save any confirmed changes. Subclasses are now also listed in the character summary section of the character creator and in the hirelings UI. That's very good. Reordered the list of bonuses you can get from your subclass on level up so that it's more intuitive. Awesome. Overall, a lot of really good changes. There doesn't seem to be any major differences as far as build making and all of that goes. There are some small nerfs, some small buffs, nothing insane. I mean, obviously, again, like I said, I could sit here and read every single change to you, but I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I mainly just wanted to have a look at it from the perspective of someone who makes builds for this game and people who kind of, you know, like to do that sort of thing. So, yeah. I mean, overall, the main thing they're adding is the romance stuff, which, again, not something I'm too interested in. But overall, there doesn't seem to be many massive changes as far as build making is concerned. The only thing this is going to mean is now, like, there are some cool things, like, again, the Elixir Hill Giant Strength now being able to affect multiple people at once, potentially. Again, that needs testing. A bunch of stuff like that. We're just going to have to experiment a bit. There might even be some small little minor changes that they're not talked about here. Actually, I will quickly check. I don't think it's here. I forget how to spell it. Larethian? No. Hold on, I can type in Wrath. I know how to spell Wrath. There we go. Fixed an issue preventing you from picking up Larethian's Wrath if you drop it out of your inventory. That was the bug I submitted to them, and they actually fixed it. Good job, Larian. Well done, guys. Can't believe I missed it when I scrolled by, but yes, if you guys remember, I discussed this in a video, and I actually did report it to Larian, and they have fixed it. Ah, brilliant. Especially with how much I've recommended that weapon in the past, so well done, Larian. That just goes to show that they really do care about this community. Right, I'm going to leave that here. Again, feel free to discuss the changes and anything I may have missed in the comment section below, and I will see you all next time. Hopefully this extra little surprise video makes up for the fact that I'm not streaming this weekend. Probably not.